Hi Poke fans, Harry here, and recently it was Pokemon Day, Pokemon's 29th anniversary. Yes, 29 years ever since the original Red and Green were released. And in Pokemon Day, of course, there were topics about every single game. Pokemon Unite, Pokemon Go, Cafe Remix, loads. But of course the main part of the Pokemon Presents was Pokemon Legends ZA. And in this video, I will be breaking down all the hidden details you might have missed. But before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe, also leave a like and comment down below, and let's get into the video. So, Pokemon Legends ZA is the new upcoming Pokemon title that takes place in the Kalos region, and actually the whole game takes place in Lumio City. Now, we already knew that there was a leak when we had the first trailer for Pokemon Legends ZA, where it was going to take place in Lumio City, and this trailer confirms it as well. So, it's a bit sad that we won't see the whole Kalos region, but this trailer was just amazing anyway. So, of course, it has been a long time since we have ventured through, well, the Kalos region and ever through Lumio's City. And it isn't just, of course, Generation 6 Pokemon, as Pokemon from many generations can be seen. And just a couple I just wanted to touch on, because they haven't been in Pokemon games for a while. So, first off, near the start of the trailer, was a Patrat. Now, Patrat is a Unovan Pokemon, and it actually hasn't been in a game ever since Black 2 and White 2, and actually Patrat wasn't available in X and Y. Its evolution Watchog was, but that is still 12 years ago. Yes, that is right, Patrat hasn't been in a Pokemon game for over a decade, and it has not been on any Switch games. And similarly, Furfrou is a Pokemon that hasn't featured on a Switch game as well. It last appearing in the games Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So again, a long time since Furfrou has featured in a Pokemon game, and as I said, neither Patrat, Watchog, or Furfrou have been featured on a Pokemon Switch game, which is bonkers. However, I think every other Pokemon has at least featured on a Switch game. But speaking of Pokemon, of course the main Pokemon are the Legends ZA starters, and it's an odd choice. Yes, that is right, there are two Johto starters. So of course, the starters for Legends ZA are Chikorita, the Johto Grass-type starter, Tepig, the Unova Fire-type starter, and Totodile, the Johto Water-type starter. Now, they're really not... Pokemon are keeping the meme going of of Chikorita and Totodile trying to distance themselves from Typhlosion. I'm sure you've all saw the memes of it because of what happened with leaks about Typhlosion, and this just confirms it as well. But yeah, totally unexpected that two of the three starters are from the same generation. I thought that we would have a start, like all three starters would be from different generations, much like how it was in Pokemon Legends Arceus. And yeah, it just didn't happen. But talking about Pokemon Legends Arceus, and since Cyndaquil was the starter in that game, that means that all three Johto starters have now featured in a Legends game. Now, I don't know whether because they're cramming in the Johto starters, and there were some kind of Johto elements in Pokemon Legends Arceus and also this game as well, that they are saying that we won't venture back to Johto, which is sad. But on the other way round, it could be that we're venturing back to Johto, which, of course, would be exciting. But I don't know, but now we know that all three starters from Johto have featured in a Legends game. So that's quite exciting. I don't know whether these Pokemon will have final different forms from like the usual Meganium, Emboar, and also for Alligator, or whether they'll get Mega Evolutions. Since it's the two Johto starters, I'm hinting that they might not get Mega Evolutions, and it might just be a different final form, because of course then Typhlosion would feel kind of left out. But then again, so were the other Johto starters, the other also Alola starters, and also the other Unova starters. Yeah, poor Snivy has been left out again. Oshawott was in Legends, and now Tepig is in Legends as well. So Snivy has been left out, so that's a bit sad. But I think we could get Mega Evolutions, since Mega Evolution is kind of the gimmick of the Kalos region. However, something big about the Kalos region is of course Zygarde, and we see Zygarde 10% in this trailer as well as one of its cells. Now, Zygarde is the third legendary of the Kalos region, and Zygarde never got his own game. We never got a Pokemon Z, so Zygarde has kind of felt left out as well from his own actual region, when he should be the strongest Pokemon. And Zygarde is a bit of an anomaly, because Zygarde has 3 different forms. First of all, the 10%, which we see in the trailer, which is the one that looks like a dog. It also has a 50% form, which is the one that looks like a snake, and the one that was the main form used in the Pokemon anime. And then the 100% or complete form, which I don't think has actually ever been playable in a legitimate game, but I might be wrong about that. I don't think it has been. So maybe we'll actually get a final, complete form being able to play in the game, which would be cool. So that is just so cool that Zygarde is returning, and we're finally getting like the Pokemon Legends Z. Sorry, Pokemon Z, but we're getting it as a Legends game. And of course, as well as Zygarde being an extremely core part of this game, we know that Mega Evolution is going to be as well, because it is returning. Again, almost 10 years since its original introduction, and yeah, it's returning again. We see a lot of Megas. Unfortunately, no new Megas can be seen. I think we're going to get some, but I kind of understand why they weren't shown in this trailer. But just to mention, Mega Sableye and Mega Altaria can be seen in like the Megas seen in this trailer, but Mega Sableye and Mega Altaria were not introduced until Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, not actually X and Y, but these two have been included, so obviously it seems that all Megas are going to be included, as well as maybe some new ones coming in Pokemon Legends ZA. So that's cool that we're not only getting a limited amount like we did in X and Y, and also a bit in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But moving past the Pokemon now we move into the human characters, and there are 5 main characters shown. So, first up, I want to talk about the rival, which is Urbane or Tawny, based on what player character you chose. So, Urbane will be the rival if you pick the girl character, and Tawny will be the rival if you pick the boy character. And, of course, their name origins, of course, come from Urban for Urbane and Town or Towny for Tawny. So, of course, it fits with the whole urban redevelopment plan that is going on in this game for Lumio City, and, of course, them being, like city dwellers or comfortable living in a big city, as, of course, this whole place takes place in Lumiose City. And it's just going to be great seeing these different rivals and how they interact. But, of course, they are not the only new characters, because the next 2 characters I want to talk about actually run the company that are doing the Lumio City urban redevelopment. And that is Quasario Inc. or Quasartico Inc. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but we see the CEO of this company, Jet. And Jet is, of course, the CEO of this company, so she seems important. Maybe we'll get a double bluff, like how in Pokemon Legends Arceus we thought Saline might be evil because of the association with Cyrus and Team Galactic. So maybe they're making us think Jet is evil, but she's actually good. And in addition to the CEO of this company, we also have Jet's secretary, Vinny. And Vinny seems like, he fits in with the Team Galactic sunglass wearing club, but maybe he's a good guy. And of course, there are hints to this because Vinny has like little Pokemon toy figures in the back of his hair, which is so cute. Like a Pancham figure and a Binary figure. And I think we've seen these figures before. The Pancham figure looks like the one that the Pokefan family trainer class has, specifically the woman in that group. And also the Binary figure looks like the one that the X and Y preschooler girl has in her hand. So maybe Vinny has his own family. He has like a son and daughter, or a wife and a daughter. So maybe it's to keep them with him, which is pretty cute, I think. And of course, probably the biggest character is, biggest literally as a physical thing, and also just in how the story is playing out, is AZ. Now, AZ, if you play through the original Carlos games, X and Y, you will know who AZ is. He is like the 9-foot, I think they said he was, Pokemon trainer wandering around the Carlos region. And he is 3,000 years old, which is insane, because it's just, bonkers, 3,000 years old. And this kind of brings us into our next point, because with AZ is Eternal Flower Floette, accompanying him throughout this whole trailer. And Eternal Flower Floette is a special different Floette. And it was never officially released, but you could get it through like hacking and stuff. But Eternal Flower Floette was AZ's partner Pokemon, and was with AZ before the war in the Carlos region that was around 3,000 years ago, and then left AZ for 3,000 years, and then returned to AZ after the post-credit battle he has with the player character at the end of Pokemon X and Y. So it has to be either before the war or after the war, and based on how high-tech Lumiose looks, I doubt it was 3,000 years ago, because it's just too high-tech. And also, AZ only gained immortality to be 3,000 years old, because he fired the ultimate weapon 3,000 years ago, which made him immortal. So it has to take place in the present day, or maybe slightly in the future. But I do just like the details. Eternal Flower Floette looks just as it did back in the day, not like a normal Floette. And also AZ, the detail of him actually wearing two suits, because he's so big, he has to stitch like two suits together so it will fit him, which I think is a really cool detail that goes in depth to, into what he's like, which is great detail by the Pokemon Company. And actually, AZ seems to be running a hotel during the events of the game, which is where the player character will stay as kind of their home base, a bit like how the Galactic Hall was in Pokemon Legends Arceus. But speaking of the player character, especially the male character, looks a bit like Professor Sycamore. So, could the player character be the niece or child or nephew of Professor Sycamore? Because the male character especially looks exactly like it. The hair and just the complexion. Of course, we know that we can change the hairstyle and the complexion of our player character, but just the default they use for this game looks very much like Professor Sycamore. I've also seen some comparisons to the player characters mum in the X and Y games, looking at the female player character looks like that. So maybe we'll have descendants of the player character, and you actually play as like the descendants of the player character, just like how in Pokemon Legends Arceus you played as the ancestors of Dawn and Lucas, the player characters from Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. So maybe we'll have that, or maybe it's descendants of Professor Sycamore, which I would like to see Professor Sycamore in this game, because yeah, it'd just be cool to see that. And Legends Arceus dealt heavily with like ancestral lines, and I couldn't see any similarities with the rivals or Jet or Vinny, but I could see with the player character. So I don't know, but I wouldn't hold your breath that they wouldn't include some ancestral lines in these Pokemon games to characters we already know. But of course, the biggest change is the actual gameplay, because the catching and battling in this game is different than normal games. Now, the catching seems pretty similar to Legends Arceus, but actually, if you look in the trailer, even if a Pokemon's HP gets knocked down to 0, you have a chance to catch it. Now, I don't know whether this is a one-time thing, like if you do knock it out, you only have one chance to catch it, like I think in the Dynamax raids, but that I think it would be a pretty high chance to catch it. That has always seemed a bit weird, that you KO a Pokemon in a normal Pokemon game, and which would be the prime opportunity to catch it, and you just go, no. So finally something I think a bit more, well, makes sense a bit more in the Pokemon universe. Like, even if you KO it, you have a chance to catch it. And perhaps the biggest shakeup is, of course, the battling. Now, the battling is like almost happening in real time. And what I mean by that is that you are able to move your Pokemon around in battle. So your Pokemon can dodge an attack from an opponent. And also, even the AI can do this as well, that they can dodge attacks. So it's not that you can dodge all day and just hit your opponent and not take any damage. They can dodge as well, which is so insane and crazy that you can dodge. It's almost like an anime battle, which is insane and crazy. And I am so glad, because the anime fights were always the best in things in the Pokemon anime. And now you can dodge and roll around, and it's just so cool. And also, during the battles, I noticed that a Pokemon has spotted you icon from Pokemon Legends Arceus can be seen. So we probably still have like the normal catching from Legends Arceus, but a little bit different, as I mentioned. So you will have you will be attacked by Pokemon like you were in Legends Arceus. And this actually brings me to Pokemon Champions, which is the new battle. It's kind of like a official Pokemon Showdown. Yes, Pokemon are actually bringing in official battles, which is insane and crazy. A place where you can try out rental teams, bring Pokemon from Pokemon Go and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and all the other games. You can bring them through and participate in battles, double battles, single battles, in an official Pokemon environment, which is insane and crazy. And this will probably be where the normal battles take place that we are used to, whereas Pokemon experiment with this new style in Pokemon Legends ZA. So I am excited to see all the competitive players get into Pokemon Championships, Pokemon Champions, and it just looks insane and crazy, because not only is terrestrialization included in this, but also Mega Evolution as well. And potentially, we might even get the return of Z moves and Dynamax in this as well, which would be crazy. So, Pokemon Champions, an official Pokemon Showdown is coming, and that is where the normal battles are going to take place, which is crazy. But moving past that, we actually get a hidden cameo, because towards the end of this trailer, Lucas' office is shown. possibly hinting to the return of Looker. Now, if you don't know who Looker is, he is a member of the International Police and was seen in many Pokemon games from Gen 4 onwards, where mainly he investigates the activities of villainous teams. Now, Looker hasn't appeared in a Switch game. He was last seen in the Pokemon games Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and he also appeared in the games X and Y as well. However, because Looker got swallowed up in his last appearance by an Ultra Wormhole, as recounted by him in the events of Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, maybe Looker will not be in Carlos. However, it could be Emma. Now, if you don't know who Emma is, Emma was working with Looker in X and Y's post-game, and Looker kind of left the office to Emma if he ever went missing, and we know he was sucked up by an Ultra Wormhole, or he could just still be travelling throughout the many regions in the Pokemon universe. So maybe we'll get the return of Emma, who was a pretty... well, she was a character that the audience could identify with based on the stuff that happened in the post-game. I won't really spoil it for you, but Emma was an integral part of the X and Y post-game when you did the Looker side quest story, taking down the remnants of Team Flare. And then the trailer ends with a tease, a little tease of something called a promotion match, with the Rotom phone saying that the player has been invited for a promotion match, which is probably some kind of Pokemon battle tournament taking place in what seems to be Prism Tower. Now, maybe it's just a battle place like the Battle Tree in the Ultra games, or the Battle Tower in the Hoenn games, or yeah, just one of those battle facilities. Or maybe because it's called a promotion match, it could be the return of the Masters 8 tournament, which was something that was in the Pokemon anime, where the top 8 spots, the top 8 trainers finally battled it out in a tournament to decide who was the winner. Of course, Ash won it in the anime, but to rank up and get to the top 8 spots, you had to participate in what was called promotion matches. So maybe we'll have to battle across the region and win every match we can to participate in the Masters 8 tournament. And maybe actually losses, we won't be able to just battle again until we win, and our losses will actually count, which I think is something, well, it's something that has never actually mattered before in Pokemon, but it might actually matter now, which is amazing and crazy. And maybe it will be a final 8 of not just NPCs but also other players as well. But I don't know how that would work out, so don't quote me on that. But of course, then we get the reveal that Pokemon Legends ZA will release later this year. I am predicting probably the November spot, because that is when the games mainly drop if they are being dropped at the end of this year. Maybe September to kind of get it in earlier, but I predict November. But this trailer has got me so excited. Carlos has changed so much. Lumio City has changed so much from what it was in Pokemon X and Y. I am so, well, hyped that we are getting a return to Carlos. This trailer was amazing and crazy, and it cannot come soon enough. Pokemon Legends ZA. I am so excited, and it's just amazing. Can't wait to see what we see next for Pokemon Legends ZA. And let me know down in the comments below what you thought of the trailer. Are you hyped for Pokemon Legends ZA? And also, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, also subscribe and share it out. And I will see you in the next one.